Hello Outriders, today I'm going to show you every tier 1 and tier 2 mod in the game, and I'm going to tell you how best to grind for them so that you can also get them all unlocked. These mods can be unlocked by finding them on gear and dismantling it. On dismantle, any mod that you do not currently have in your library will be saved for you for later use on another gear piece. If this video does help you, then be sure to give it a like and share to support it, and if you're new to the channel then please do subscribe for more content from me. I have a lot of Outriders content planned and cover other looter shooters too. We also have a fantastic community where you can link up with other Outriders, and when you are done here you can check us out via the link in the video description. Before I show you all of the mods, I want to show you the best way to farm for them. Tier 1 and Tier 2 mods come on epic gear, so what you want is a very easy way to get epic gear, and the best way I found was on one of the hunts that you do for Noah in Trenchtown. These hunts give you guaranteed epic loot when you kill the target, and if you die right after you can do it again and again. For me, the best hunt to do is the one in the forest enclave called Split Tooth. If you have already done this, and don't worry, you can complete all 10 hunts to reset them all again like I did. The best thing about this one is that as soon as you enter the area, you only have to kill a few enemies before the Split Tooth turns up, and everything bar the 2 alphas spawn from the waterfall. You could even drop this to World Tier 1 if you wanted to, if you were just after mods, but it is also a great way to farm titanium early in the game, and you get more titanium the higher the tier. Watch how quick it takes me to kill Split Tooth here and get guaranteed epic gear. For me, this is by far the best way to get all the tier 1 and tier mods that you need, and you can tell what mod you already have on the pieces by this little window icon. If the mod does not have this icon next to it, then you need that mod, so just dismantle the piece to get it. So moving on, and first up is all the tier 1 mods for gear. I'm not going to go through all of these because these will vary depending on the class that you choose. I am the Trickster, so these mods here support my skills that I use. You'll have different mods here for Pyromancer, Technomancer or Devastator. All of these mods offer improvements to your skills ability. Moving on to the weapon tier 1 mods, and I gotta say some of these are better than the tier 2 mods. I'm going to go through each one of them now and read what they do, starting with the Vampire. When this is equipped, killing shots grant 15% skill leech boost for 20 seconds. Shield Maiden makes shots generate shield with a cooldown of 1 second. Ricochet makes shots ricochet to another enemy within 5 meter radius of the initial target every 1 second. With Anomaly Surge, critical shots spawn an Anomaly Energy Blast that deals damage in a 2 meter radius every 1 second. The damage dealt will depend on the character's stats. Vulnerability Bullets inflict vulnerable on enemies every 8 seconds. This mod is greyed out because it is already on the weapon to the left, and it is called Clip of a Mouthfear, where there is 30% chance that critical shots do not consume ammo. Critical Point increases the chance of scoring a critical shot by 15%. Ashen Bullets make shots inflict ash on enemies every 8 seconds. Killer Medic makes killing shots replenish health to allies within a 5 meter radius of the target every 1 second. Essence Thief has to be one of my favourite tier 1 mods, and it makes shots regenerate your health every second. Mix this with Weapon Life Leech on the gun and you can feel invincible. Soul Devourer makes killing shots regenerate your health every second. Fusion Blast makes shots create a fusion blast that deals damage within a 5 meter radius every 1.5 seconds. First Things First makes the first shot after every reload hit with armor piercing increased by 30% with a 1 second cooldown. With Fireworks, shots create an explosion that deals damage to enemies within a 6 meter radius every 3 seconds. Bleeding Bullets inflict bleed on enemies every 8 seconds. Burning Bullets inflict burn on enemies every 8 seconds. Freezing Bullets inflict freeze on enemies every 8 seconds. Toxic Bullets inflict toxic on enemies every 8 seconds. Weakening bullets inflict weakness on enemies every 8 seconds. Stiffening makes shots inflict slow on enemies every 8 seconds. With clip combustion, reloading the weapon creates a shockwave dealing damage to enemies within a 5-meter radius. Proliferation makes shots on enemies that are already inflicted by a status effect inflict that status to the nearest enemy every 1 second. With hot blood, shots pass through enemies whose health is below 50%, ricocheting to 3 enemies within a 5-meter radius and inflicting burn every 0.3 seconds. Livestock allows reloading to restore health, and this is increased for each enemy that you killed since your last reload without changing your weapon. The cooldown for this is 1 second. And the final tier 1 mod to show you is Roller of Leeches, where killing shots increase weapon leech by 20% for 20 seconds. Moving on to tier 2 mods, and we'll stick with weapon mods starting with Anomaly Enhancements, where you'll receive a passive firepower boost equal to 30% of your anomaly power. Next is Bone Shrapnel, which you can see on the weapon. With this, killing shots detonate the enemy's bones and then turn them into shrapnel that deals damage and inflicts bleeds on enemies within a 5-meter radius every 1 second. With Striga, 30% of critical damage is returned to you as health every 0.1 second. Improved Vulnerability Bullets inflict vulnerable on enemies every 4 seconds. Gravedigger's Frenzy makes critical shots increase your critical damage by 50% for 5 seconds, but can only happen every 10 seconds. Damage Link makes shots link up to 4 enemies, sharing 30% of their weapon damage dealt and 15% of their anomaly damage dealt every 4 seconds. Icebreaker makes killing shots against frozen enemies make them explode, dealing a high amount of damage every 1 second. Resistance Breaker makes shots decrease your target's resistance by 35% for 6 seconds every 1 second. Improved Weakening Bullets inflict weakness on enemies every 4 seconds. Improved Toxic Bullets inflict toxic on enemies every 4 seconds. Improved Freezing Bullets inflict freeze on enemies every 4 seconds. Improved Burning Bullets inflict burn on enemies every 4 seconds. Improved Bleeding Bullets inflict bleed on enemies every 4 seconds. Improved Ashen Bullets inflict ash on enemies every 4 seconds. Minefield makes killing shots spawn explosives around your target, each deals damage in a 5-meter radius every 1 second. With Claymore, shots damage an enemy with an anomaly blade, dealing damage every 4 seconds. Improved Stiffening inflicts slow on enemies every 4 seconds. Storm Whip makes shots bring down lightning on an enemy, dealing damage every 2 seconds. With Vortex Chamber, reloading your weapon inflicts slow on enemies previously wounded by the weapon without changing it every 1 second. With Clipped Roller, when your magazine has 50% or less ammo left, you can roll to quickly reload all your equipped weapons. And then reloading your weapon with Mark of the Stake inflicts burn on enemies previously wounded by this weapon without changing it every 1 second. Death Chains makes shots entangle an enemy with chains, dealing high damage over 3 seconds with a cooldown of 2 seconds. Perpetual Mobile makes you instantly replenish your magazine if you kill an enemy with 35% or less ammo remaining in your magazine. With Snow Squall, reloading your weapon inflicts freeze on enemies previously wounded by this weapon without changing it every 1 second. Crematorium makes killing shots create an explosion that inflicts ash on enemies within a 7-meter radius every 1 second. And the final tier 2 weapon mod to show you is Brain Eater, where critical shots do not consume ammo. And to finish the video off, we have 66 tier 2 gear mods, starting with Untamed Power, where using skills deals damage to enemies within a 5-meter radius around you. The damage is equal to 30% of your anomaly power. With Hidden Medkit, picking up ammo restores so many points to your health. Rejuvenation allows you to receive firepower and anomaly power for 8 seconds whenever your health is replenished, with a cooldown of 10 seconds. Plate Piercer increases your critical damage by a percentage that is equal to 50% of your armor piercing. Resistance Piercer increases your critical damage by a percentage that is equal to 75% of your resistance piercing. With Toxic Piercer, your toxic effectiveness is increased by a percentage that is equal to 100% of your armor piercing. Dum Dum Bullets increases assault weapon damage by 10%. Ultimate Paragon increases your armor by so many points for each ally in close range. And then with Paragon, each ally in close range receives points of armor from you. With Blazing Aegis, killing enemies afflicted with burn increases your armor by so many points for 8 seconds, and this stacks up to 3 times. Extra Bullet increases your magazine size by 10%. With Thirst for Blood, killing enemies with a weapon while they're afflicted with bleed increases your weapon leech by 40% for 10 seconds. With Blood Potion, critical shots towards enemies in close range afflicted with bleed increases your health regeneration by so many points for 5 seconds. Vampiric Mag makes killing shots on enemies afflicted with bleed replenish 50% of ammo in your magazine. Vein Ripper makes critical shots inflict bleed on enemies. With Reforging Bullets, critical shots on enemies afflicted with burn don't consume your ammo. Aura of Force makes killing enemies with critical shots grant anomaly power to you and your allies for 10 seconds. Ash Cleaner makes critical shots apply extra damage to enemies afflicted with ash. Crit Stack is already on this gear piece, and it makes critical shots build up a 5-second stacking effect that grants you anomaly power and firepower bonuses. It stacks up to 5 times. With Toxic Lead, killing enemies afflicted with Toxic will instantly replenish 40% of ammo in your magazine. Damage Absorber increases your armor and resistance. Trample the Weak makes you deal 10% more damage against enemies afflicted by weakness. Power from the Ashes makes killing shots on enemies afflicted with ash increase your anomaly power for 20 seconds and can stack up to 2 times. With Plate Dodge, rolling increases your armor for 5 seconds. Freezing Boost boosts your damage against enemies afflicted with freeze by 15%. Bloody Boost boosts your damage against enemies afflicted with bleed by 15%. Ashen Boost boosts your damage against enemies afflicted with ash by 20%. The Cycle increases your weapon damage by a percentage that is proportional to your health regeneration. With Twice as Hot, whenever a skill is used, inflict extra damage to all enemies afflicted with burn. With Bullet Kindling, you deal 20% more damage against enemies afflicted by burn. When reloading with Fresh Mag, you increase your firepower for 8 seconds. Killing enemies while aiming down sights with mitigation from death will give you armor for 10 seconds and can stack up to 3 times. Savor the Feeble increases the duration of weakness by 50% when it is inflicted on enemies. Even Odds increases your max health by 10% for each enemy within a 10 meter radius around you and stacks up to 3 times. Martial Arts reduces the cooldown of your melee skill by 50%. With Ice Trap, whenever your health drops below 30%, freeze is inflicted on enemies within a 10 meter radius every 5 seconds. With Adrenaline, whenever your health drops below 30%, all your skill cooldowns are reduced by 50%. Dying Fire Breath will inflict burn on all enemies within a 10 meter radius when your health drops below 30% every 5 seconds. With Stand Tall, you'll receive firepower and anomaly power when out of cover for more than 5 seconds. Move Groove allows you to increase your firepower and anomaly power while moving. With Expose and Strike, killing an enemy with melee inflicts vulnerable on enemies within a 10 meter radius around you. Brawl boosts your melee skill damage by 100%. Emergency Stance allows you to attain a Golem protective effect for 4 seconds whenever your health drops below 30% every 10 seconds. With Perseverance Fists, whenever your health drops below 30%, you increase your melee damage by 300%. With Perseverance Shield, you receive shield points whenever your health drops below 30% every 5 seconds. Whenever your health drops below 30% with Perseverance Munitions, your firepower increases for 5 seconds. Radical Therapy makes you deal 15% more damage against enemies afflicted with Toxic. What Goes Around makes incoming bullets have a 30% chance of being deflected towards an enemy dealing damage. No Resistance against a Fortified increases your resistance piercing by 50% of your armor piercing value. With Shield Blast, a complete shield depletion triggers a powerful energy blast, dealing damage to enemies within a 5 meter radius every 5 seconds. With Reload Shield, when a shield is active, reloading grants you shield points every 5 seconds. Seismic Impulse generates a seismic impulse every 6 seconds, dealing damage to enemies within a 5 meter radius around you. Barrel Roll will increase your firepower for the first shot after executing a roll. With Phantom Dash, during combat your default roll is replaced with Phantom Dash, which enables you to quickly pass through enemies. When reviving an ally with Head of the Ward, it fully restores their health. Achilles Heel increases your critical damage by 50% of your resistance piercing. With Shield Zap, when your shield is active, it spawns an electric shock around you, dealing damage to up to 2 enemies within a 5 meter radius every 5 seconds. With Bullet Recycling, reloading a weapon when your shield is active disables ammo consumption for 5 seconds every 1 second. This mod is already on my piece and is personal space, which grants me 15% close range weapon damage. Shotgun weapon damage is increased by 10% with buckshot shells. Sidearm weapon damage is increased by 10% with Sidearm Specialist. High velocity bullets increases your sniper weapon damage by 10%. With Diffuse, sprinting increases your armor and resistance. With Bloodlust, killing shots increase your firepower and it can stack up to 3 times. Stacks deteriorate every 10 seconds. Swapping weapons with Arms Juggler increases your firepower for 5 seconds. And the final mod to show you today is the Hidden and Dangerous, which increases your firepower when shooting from cover. And that brings us to the end of the video. I'll be working on a similar video soon to show you the best way to grind tier 3 mods, and I'll show you every tier 3 mod in the game, like I've done with the tier 1 and tier 2 mods today in this video. Thank you all so much for watching this, and don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And now we are finished, be sure to come and check out our great community that is linked down in the video description. It is a great place to be if you want to meet other Outriders to play with. But until the next video, stay safe and peace out.
Wow.